It's just sad news, continued sad news for the PlayStation 5 and their fans. It seems that since launch day, nothing's gone right for PlayStation. It can't do this, it can't do that. It's the can't do anything console. It's the worst console launch I've ever witnessed, and I've been around for a good while. We all know how large these game files are, and with the limited space that these PlayStation systems have, you're gonna run out pretty quick. And even till this day, you still cannot expand your internal drive. The internal drive, you can't expand it to something that matches it. Sure, it has that SSD slot that's available. But even if you put something in, it's not on, it's not turned on. This is something that should have been turned on. It should have been implemented since day one. And right now it's just a dead port. So you're still limited to play on internal, which you probably only have like maybe 600, 700 gigs worth of space, which is nothing. Whereas the Xbox Series on both the X and the S, they have expansion cards, yes. Are they pricey? Oh, absolutely. But you know what? It works. It worked on day one and it works today. Oh, and let's not talk about adding a USB drive, the traditional one. You can't just hook it up and move your PS5 games over as a holding place, kind of like a shelf, a virtual shelf. And then if you want to move it back, you can, so you can play it. You can't do that. It's a very piss poor implementation on what they did with the external drive. Terrible and sad. Whereas on the Xbox, again, you plug it in and it sees all your games that you've stored on it. All of them. No issues, no having to tinker around with settings, nothing. It's simply plug and actually play. Now you have a game like Cyberpunk, which was a huge deal, and it still is. And the PlayStation 5 couldn't handle it. With all its bells and whistles, the amazing SSD that Mr. Cerny had a TED Talk about, it cannot handle the game. It cannot handle the game to the point where Sony had to take down the listing from the PlayStation Store. That's how bad it got. So currently, you can only get the game physically. Whereas on the Xbox Series, on both the X and the S, again, so simple, it just works. The PlayStation 5 lacks a couple of great features that the Xbox has. One, quick resume. I've experienced it myself, and let me tell you, it's amazing. I turn on a game like Gears 5, I play it, I go off and do something else, turn off the Xbox, do my own thing or whatever, get back to it, and it's right there. If I start a new game, go back to Gears, it is right there. That is amazing. And the big one, if you bought a supposedly Xbox One game and you get yourself an X or a Series X or S, the system is smart enough, just genius enough to know that, hey, look, you have an Xbox One game? Yeah, but you're playing on the Series X or S? Hey, we're gonna go ahead and upgrade you. No need on your part. We'll do it for you. And it upgrades the game to the latest and greatest. Whereas on the PlayStation, it's a very piss poor, sad implementation where you have to select which version you want to download on your PlayStation 5. Sure, they put a fix in it where it defaults to PlayStation 5, but that's just like a band-aid. Here, we'll put this on there, and of course, you have your cheerleading squad just rooting Sony and say, thank you for fixing this, Sony. Thank you. Continues to be a poor implementation of the system and bad patchwork. And what about backward comp? Oh my God, that's just not. Let's get into that. So on the Series X and S, let's just call it a Series family. You can play 4 generations of Xbox games. 4 original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and then the current Xbox Series games. Whereas on the PlayStation 5, again, piss poor, sad, pathetic implementation of that feature. It's hit and miss. It doesn't do all of them. It does some, and when it does some, it's terrible. Somehow, this is next gen? This is not next gen. This is a console you probably buy at a flea market. Nothing's next gen about it. The look of it is not next gen. It is 4 generations before. The way it performs is not next gen. It's at best PlayStation 2. It's terrible. And somehow people are rooting it as the next best thing. You guys are blinded. You guys are just brainwashed to think this is it, and it's not. You're wrong. I do hope they improve it, but it should have been improved at the beginning, not months later, not with little band-aid patches here and there just to get you guys to shut up. It should have been working since day one, even with the smallest features as smart delivery, even with the expansion of SSD. That's the saddest part, is that you can't expand your memory right now. Everything should have been working on day one, and it's not. It's pathetic, and it's insulting to the Sony fan. Even though they'll say it's not insulting, we all see it. So yes, the PlayStation 5 launch has been terrible. The updates have been awful and none. And this is what you call next gen? I call it next gen failure. All right, guys, it's TeknoBlast. Tell me what you think down below. I want to hear from both Xbox people and neutrals, just like myself, and PlayStation fans. All right, guys, catch you on the flip side. Good night.